Coming into their game in Minnesota, the Dallas Mavericks had the worst road record in the NBA and were about to face Karl-Anthony Towns and the recently recharged Timberwolves. In the 7 games before this matchup, Towns was on a tear, averaging 28 points, 15 boards, 4 assists, and 3 blocks per game. The Timberwolves had just fired their head coach Tom Thibodeau and were fresh off of a big road win over the Thunder. But Luka Doncic and the Mavericks needed a win in a tight Western Conference race where every game matters, especially potential tiebreakers down the line. Like the classic story trope, before the Mavs could revel in their victory over the Minnesota Timberwolves, it got dark. Really dark, when JJ Barea cut into the lane and hit a layup to put the Mavs back up by 10. But almost as soon as Barea hit the floor, he grabbed for his Achilles tendon. The Mavs quickly fouled and came to his aid. This is a brutal loss for the Mavericks. Like my co-host Isaac Harris likes to say, JJ Barea is the head of the snake in regards to the Mavs' second unit. He makes everything work. This season, he was also the only player in NBA history to average 10 or more points and 5 or more assists in less than 20 minutes per game. JJ Barea was helped off the floor, and after the game, ESPN's Tim McMahon reported that the Mavs believe Barea had torn his Achilles tendon. Hopefully this isn't the end for one of the Mavs' best bench players ever. Back on the court, the Mavs' lead evaporated in about 4 minutes. Luka was blocked straight up by Derrick Rose, and then Maxi Kleber had to pick up Jeff Teague in transition defense because Luka was late getting back. And then Karl-Anthony Towns scored the easiest basket of his life on Luka in the post. Towns' layup tied the game and capped off a 15-5 run for the Timberwolves. Dallas took a timeout and needed to make something happen, so they turned to the 2 youngest active players on the roster. If you stop this play right before Luka is about to make the pass, the entire Timberwolves 5 is looking right at Luka. This drive by Luka could end in so many ways. This is what makes him so dangerous off the dribble. It seems like DeAndre and Teague think that this is a lob to DeAndre, with DJ's little move towards the rim and Teague's little head tilt here. Towns tries to take a step forward to thwart a long floater, and Luka could have put his head down and forced a drive right into Towns, who already had 4 fouls. But instead, he draws the entire defense and throws an almost perfect pass to Jalen Brunson in the corner, and the rookie hits the shot. On the other end, the Mavs really had no answer for Towns, who finished with just 30 points, but could have had a lot more. With 2 minutes left, the Mavs run the same set as the last play, but this time Harrison Barnes gets a turn and takes a tough turnaround fadeaway shot. And while the Mavs tried to diversify their offense, the Timberwolves went back to what works, Towns in the post. But this time, Luka gets his own answer. He takes a screen from DeAndre and takes advantage of Towns' position. Luka may not be the fastest guy out there, but he knows when to take off. And I honestly have no idea how Luka got this shot off because both Towns' arms are in front of the ball when Luka releases. Then, because the Mavs are so conscious of Towns' position on the floor, Luka gets caught out of position and Teague drives right by him for a floater. If you've watched this channel enough over the last 2 months, you know that Luka most always has a response for shots like this. And wonder, boy did he respond to this. Luka takes a brush screen from DeAndre to get past Rose. Teague has to stay with Brunson. Towns is caught with his back turned to Luka because he chose to spin the opposite way off of Brunson. And both Taj Gibson and Wiggins are sticking with their men in the corners because of the 3-point threat. Maxi's hit 3 threes in this game already, and Harrison Barnes is shooting almost 44% from 3 since November 21st. With all that going on, Luka explodes into the paint and flushes down a dunk on Taj Gibson. The Timberwolves feed Towns again, and after Maxi impedes his first step, Luka loses sight of Teague and guesses wrong before Jeff gets another floater in the lane. Teague misses, but since Luka got beat, DeAndre had to come up and help on the shot, so he wasn't there to box out Taj Gibson on the putback. After a timeout, Luka tries to inbounds to Maxi, but Gibson intercepts the ball and passes to Josh Okogie. Okogie tries to throw the ball back behind his back to Gibson, but DeAndre steals the ball back for the Mavs to set up the play of the game. But before we get to that, after Luka inbounds the ball, Gibson bounces it off the ground, and on this angle, you can actually see that it went out of bounds, and it looks like it was completely out of air. But it's a good thing that no one caught that because DeAndre steals the ball, Luka steps up and drills the ballsiest shot of his season so far. First of all, when Josh Okogie tried to pass the ball behind his back, he trips and falls into the Mavs bench. Second, as Okogie tries to get up, you can see Salah Mejri holding his arm. The Mej was probably just trying to help him up, but what if he held onto his arm for an extra second to give Luka just enough time to pull up from 3? Since Okogie was held up, Luka checks his blind spots and the Mavs essentially have a 5-on-4 power play. And finally, it makes sense that Luka tries to take advantage of this by taking a shot quickly, but 99 times out of 100, with less than 24 seconds left, an NBA team will just run the clock down and try to get a shot with the clock expiring. But that's not Luka, who pulls up with 18 seconds still on the clock. Another insane clutch play from Luka, who is back on top, leading the league in clutch field goal percentage among all players who have taken at least 40 shots in the clutch this season. Now, with less than 23 seconds left in the game, the Timberwolves try and run an inbound play to get Rose the ball, but Luka slides over to obstruct the passing lane, so Teague gets Towns to come and get the ball. Towns gives the ball back to Teague, and Teague takes a second before driving baseline and kicking the ball out to a wide-open Dario Saric. Now, Dario is shooting a solid 35.6% from 3 this season, and is actually shooting 5 of 11 from that exact spot this season. But Derrick Rose is shooting a scorching 46.8% from behind the line and 40% from 3 in clutch situations. And not only that, he's wide open too. So even though Saric was wide open, by all accounts, he made the right play, swinging it over to Rose. But Rose doesn't take the shot. He sees Dorian Finney-Smith's hard closeout and attacks the basket. You may have heard of something called a quick twitch. It's a phrase that's used a lot during the NBA draft process. It's a good thing if you're a quick twitch athlete, and this is why. Watch Maxi Kleber's hips and feet on this drive. Maxi doesn't have the quickest twitch, but he's able to go from his hips turned completely the wrong way when Rose starts his drive, to sliding over and fronting him to contest Rose's shot or pass attempt. Then Maxi's able to stay vertical and tip what I'm pretty sure was a pass from Rose intended for Towns. Luka swipes at the pass again, and Harrison Barnes dives on the ball. A great team effort to stop the play and secure the ball. But that's a rough way to end the game for the Wolves. Because they're Wolves. And there's a guy with a target dog right here. So now the Mavs have to actually inbound the ball and hit some free throws. Dorian finds HB, Barnes hits both clutch attempts from the line, and the Timberwolves are down 4 with less than 8 seconds to play. So unless the Mavs foul from a three-point, it's Okay, we're good. The Mavs collected just their 4th road win of the season, and Luka hopefully came away with a bunch more All-Star votes. Vote for Luka in the link below in the description of this video. If you enjoyed this video, please like it and subscribe to my channel. Follow me on Twitter @NickVanExit. And if you want to hear more Mavs talk, subscribe to the Locked On Mavericks podcast, where Isaac Harris and I drop 5 to 6 episodes every week discussing all the news, rumors, and Luka magic. There's links to almost every platform in the description. Thanks for watching. Boom.